منبر صوت الشعب، الراي والراي الآخر، شعب واحد ووطن واحد.
Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are, leaders or listeners of the Voice of People Forum. I'm very happy. It seems like I have a problem with the camera. Yeah. Today is a very special day. We will be, like we said previously, that we will be hosting in a series of discussions writers from the people of South Sudan who have dedicated themselves in the process of writing. And we have before hosted in this forum brother Dr. Arthur in his book. Today we are also very happy and privileged to host Abann Kamyay. Abann is a South Sudanese, and he hails from the Upper Nile state, preferably from the Shilluk tribe. Abann has, like most of the South Sudanese, migrated to the New Zealand, and he has made a life and he has found a home in New Zealand. As a young person, he has experienced the route of war and the route of displacement. And not only that, he migrated through a series of land, but he also made a life out of this displacement. That is an example of dedication and hard work that we expect of South Sudan. As we say, South Sudanese are always resilient. They are always resilient, and they will always make a way out of the hardship that they have to go. I'm so privileged to be here today to be interviewing Abann and take him through what he has written in his book. But the book is a native displacement in the 21st century, where Abann decided to apply leadership knowledge, and he produced projects, exegesis of masters and applied indigenous knowledge. And that is the beauty of it, that you can use your indigenous knowledge in the field of science, in the field of development. So in another word, he has contributed extensively in a new knowledge, a knowledge that has portrayed South Sudanese realities, the realities of a nascent country, the realities of that resilient nation, the reality of this resilient people. That provided him, let me welcome Sister Teresa, the author with a vehicle to evaluate learning within the context. And he applied a project connected to indigenous epistemology and indigenous community. In his quest for knowledge, he decided to thoroughly study the questions of applying leadership knowledge and use it into a contemporary community and contemporary South Sudanese, and how you can build an enhanced relationship in South Sudan, East community, and other ethnic communities, and through encouraging of development and new innovative ideas into effective leadership roles. This is a cross-cutting studies that we need to commend and congratulate Ustaz Abann in it, because the book is a Tuanka Taku. It's a resource product for South Sudanese and other communities living in New Zealand and the society of human beings as a large, because it is in these contemporary studies. And by the way, when you look at human being has its own realities. We belong to the Homo sapiens. We have some similarities, though we belong to different colors. And I think it is in this light, and especially when you look at our African South Sudanese and African brothers and sisters, and the ones who have migrated, whether this is to Africa, to America, and found a new home in those places. They have some similarities and some cross-cutting issues or ages, and that is what Abann decided to unleash in this book. His book is also a contribution to the present and future generations that will provide readers with practical knowledge about South Sudanese society, about African society. And it is an in-depth research where he tried to find answers. And that is what precisely what the author in the capacity of Abann did, where he decided to seek the answers of migrants, their families, their tribe, their affiliation, their countries of coming in their newfound country, New Zealand. And this book serves to us, like I say, as a resources of a productive and result to a conversation. In his research, he was able to use some samples of South Sudanese and other communities that are living in Australia, that he thinks the South Sudanese problem are not indifferent from theirs. And that's what makes this book, I think, unique. That's what makes this book a unique book. And therefore, we are so happy to also introduce Abann to the people of South Sudan, to the African communities. And through this presentation, we wanted to encourage him that they are yet to come of him as a writer. And these are types of the things that we wanted to see as South Sudanese. South Sudanese should not only be known through the failed leaderships of those we have seen in Juba. South Sudanese should not only be learned through wars. And I am happy this time around, people who will go online will find something that is being produced by South Sudanese, which will contribute to the humanities, which will contribute to the fields of humanity. And I believe that the students of contemporary leadership will one time read this book so that they can be able to understand and use it also as a reference for a contemporary leadership and applying this leadership knowledge in indigenous South Sudanese society. Without further ado, I would like to welcome my sister also to say some few words. Maybe he will also want to introduce our guest, but I'm also aware that the best person that will always introduce himself is the guest. But we will attempt to unleash as part of our introduction so that before you know who our guest is, we need to give you synopsis of who he is, so that by the time he is coming, at least you know what he is and what he has done and what are some of his achievements. So my sister, the floor is yours.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Brother Dominic. I know it's quite early at your end, and we are approaching night here already. It's evening. Let me also greet the viewers of the Voice of People, and I'm really pleasure to be here and also to be a co-host of the show of today with my brother Bash Mohandes Dominic, and I want to greet all the viewers of the Voice of People. Number one, let me first welcome our brother, or rather, the writer of the book. And let me also say it in Arabic شوية عشان يكون في تعادل في الكلام. أولا ده أحيي اللي هو الكاتب الكتاب بيتكلم يا هو زي ما سميته بالإنجليزي، واللي هو native displacement in the 21st century. أو بيقول شنو النزوح للمواطنين الأصليين في القرن الواحد والعشرين. فالأخ والكاتب اللي هو أستاذ أبان كوانينيا أجاك يور هو في نيوزيلاند، هاجر في منطقة نيوزيلاند. طبعا انتوا عارفين نيوزيلاند هي دولة ما بعيدة من أستراليا، فهو نزل هناك. فجات الفكرة إنه هو برضو من خلال الخبرة بتاع إنسان هاجر من دولة بتاعه الأم أو دولة السودان أو الجنوب بالخاص قبل الانفصال بالتبع. فهو جاته الفكرة إنه يعرف، يعني بدل هو ما يقضي وقته في تفكير عن الظروف اللي خلاه يمشي هناك بس، لكن هو حاول إنه يعني يعكس هذه الظروف، هذه المشاكل، هذه التغييرات، يعني من نفسه بتلقى نفسه، أو حتى من خلال نفسه هو يعني يكتشف كل الأشياء ده ويعكسه في الكتاب اللي هو الكتاب هسه احنا هو هيجي ويجي يعرف نفسه أو يعرف للجنوبيين الكتاب ولماذا هو يتكلم عن هذا الأفكار بالشكل اللي هو شافه هنا. اللي هو خط برضو المجموعات، خط مجموعات من إثنيات، ما بس إثنيات من جنوب السودان لوحدهم، لكن من دول أخرى. فأنا درنا نرحب بالأستاذ أبان في البرنامج، ونقول لك أهلا بك. ما دائما إحنا نتكلم عن مشاكل بتاعنا عن السياسة وكده، لكن جميل الليلة إحنا نستمع عن حاجة مغير وتورينا، وده ذاته يكون تجربة كويسة للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان، إنه إحنا ما نركز دائما في السياسة من غير ما إحنا ندون هذه الأشياء. فنقدر نشكرك حقيقة. فأنت ما أول واحد، لكن قد تكون أنت الزول الثاني هسه في هذا المنبر. قبل ذلك كان لنا الدكتور جابريل أثر ياك، هو برضو جاء في المنبر هنا يتكلم عن الرواية بتاعه. وحاسة انت جاي تدي تعكس حاجة تاني ويشجع شباب بتاعنا وشابات بتاعنا انه مهم انه احنا ندون، حتى لو احنا جينا في الدول في الغربة هنا، احنا لسه عندنا طريقة احنا نغير في الطبيعة بتاع الحياة بتاعنا، وبنكتبه تحت حتى المعاناة وال what do you call it التراما اللي احنا جينا بهم من دول بتاعنا، ده احنا ممكن ندونه زي ما انت دونته في هذا الكتاب. فانا حقيقة يعني انا مبسوطة انه انا اكون هنا واكون برضو طرف في هذا الحوار. وطبعا الزول الرئيسي معاك هنا هيكون باشمهندس دومينيك، وانا كده بديك الفرصة. أهلا بك أستاذ أبان.
Kira kato katua na hmi nui tina kato katua. Umba da kuben kenying wiye tangani yang kajmal. I greet you all in the name of our Father in the heaven, and also with the indigenous of New Zealand greetings, and my indigenous as well, being a South Sudanese indigenous. وأنا باهي كل المشاهدين الكرام، وباهي أستاذ باشمهندس دومينيك وأستاذة تريزا، بإضافتي بالنسبة ليوم الليلة. في بداية حقيقة أنا بقول إنه أنا مبسوط إنه أكون في وسط بتاع أهلي، وأنا مبسوط إنه الليلة كمان نتكلم عربي. طبعا عربي عندي زي 16 سنة، يمكن مقصر زاد أنا ما بعرف، فأنتوا ممكن أصلحوا. وكمان أجاد الثاني اللي ممكن يخلي الشو بيكون interesting. حقيقة وجود بتاعي معكم الليلة، أنا بتكلم عن الكتاب، وما بكون بس عن الكتاب، لأنه زي ما أنتوا قلتوا في كلام أنتوا كلمتوا، فأنا بتكلم لغتين، اللغة العربية واللغة الإنجليزية. But let me just switch in English to say I'm really privileged and delighted to be among you as one of the members of your families and community as well. As Teresa has addressed it, as I think the reason why you have that book today is not just because we always, as a South Sudanese, we love politics. And that politics never just happened in a year, but there is a reason for it. And what I am trying to share with you today is another flavor of the indigenous thinking in the way how people lead themselves as a human. I am a community advocate and educator within a New Zealand context. في اللغة العربية ناشط حقوقي. I am not a politician or affiliated with any South Sudanese political parties. I'm a neutral person who tried to add value to the innocent of South Sudanese who've been displaced during the First War and the Second War and the Third War. I think my dedicated in this book for those who've been marginalized, the civilians who are really never taste the flavor of peace. And I can relate what's happened in South Sudan is since 1821, when Ottoman Empire come to Sudan. I think until today, we have 199 years. And the reason I have the title of the book, Native Displacement in 21st Century, أنا ممكن نترجم بعربي النزوع الأصلي في القرن ال21 تطبيق المعرفة القيادية. For this is one of the flavor which is I need to share with South Sudanese, and this is the legacy of my late father. When I need to start talking about التعفف الذاتي والاكتشاف الذاتي, which is I've been mentioning there by saying that I will be talking about my own history. How did I been displaced in South Sudan to Sudan, from Sudan to Syria to New Zealand. And this kind of displacement or migration, I think every South Sudanese in diaspora or those still in displaced neighbors country during what is going on in our country, they have the same what I have. But my one is very different, is that New Zealand has a home for me, provided the platform so I will be able to add value to New Zealand society and South Sudanese society. So within this book, it's not just about my story, but it's opening eyes of those who are really trying to waste their energy with something is not going to contribute. What I mean by that, I think each and every one of us, either you're a politician or you're a civilian, you have something to contribute. It starts from yourself to your family, to your community, to the society which is you live in. So the book actually is a master's degree thesis. And I thought to myself, all the knowledge many people have always end up in the shelf of the universities. But my one has become very different because, as I said before, I have a people behind me who've been able to support to make this to become alive today, which is I am grateful for it. So why I done this and why in particular in this time, I think is important. For a motive behind what I have done, I think was advice I've been given by my father in 1985. The problem was the South Sudan is not going to be disabled where there is a peace. Within Upper Nile context, originally I am from Dolepel.
Yeah.
And at the time when the war broke out in our region, we become displaced with our own city, Malakal. At the time, there is a two choice. One, either you joined APCLA or you joined at the Army of North. being a young person. At the time I was 13 years old. And the one things my father were telling me that, saying I will not be able to allow you to stay in Malakal. I will be able to send you to Northern Sudan to stay with my brother there. Because he got his brother there, he went for a study.
Yeah.
At the time, it's as bad as this. I've been participate in a South Sudanese Anyanya one. Right. Until today, we never see the fruit of the peace we have. If you want to contribute to South Sudan.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, before we go into the book itself and you know, the story that pushed you towards these things, you know, for the betterment of the author, so that at least they can, I mean, for the betterment of our viewers, I think I wanted you to start to talk to us, you know, first about yourself, so that, you know, they know you, what you're doing in Australia, I mean, in the New Zealand, from the time you go there, and what actually pushed you to, at the end of the day, you know, author this kind of a book, you know, with and what was the driving motives for you to, you know, write about the book? Because the people will wanted to know this reader, I mean, this author Abann, in a person. What are you doing? What is your community work? What were your roles? And some of the achievements that you have done, you know, before we can be able to go to the book. And I would like to take you later on, after you have done these things, through, you know, stages of the book, until then we can be able to dive into the other important topics in the research question itself. Because I was also very interested that your book was actually as a result of a master's thesis, and in this master's thesis you are trying to answer a specific research question, which has resulted with the issues of these migrations of indigenous people and the applied leadership knowledge, which led to these people to succeed. I'm really very interested to know that. So can you go first about you, then you take us through your book, and then from there we can be able to dive into the other important things, because people may want to know your achievement. I, for one, I am interested to know as to why you have succeeded. Because that is a question I will come and ask you later, looking into our circumstances as Junubin, and why Junubin are failing in diaspora. The floor is yours.
Okay. أنا ممكن نتكلم بعربي.
That is very important.
نعم.
Yeah.
It's لازم تلقى بعربي كمان كذي شلون يمكن أنت بدخل فوق شوية لو أنت لكن ما في مشكلة. مشاهدين بتاعنا
خلي يا بالاخص يعني الدافع ذاته وراء كتابه حازي الكتاب، بالاخص انت قلت انه ده رساله لماستر ديجري، واحنا عارفين الرساله بتاع ماستر ديجري دائما بيكون ده اجابه لسؤال
شكرا باشمهندس استاذ تريزا. حقيقه انا وكيل اجرت البلد ده، انا كنت قاعد في سوريا. انا قعدت في سوريا 5 سنة وكنت وصلت نيوزيلاند. طبعا انت لما تيجي البلد انت ما بتعرف عنه حاجه. على جال انا كنت بعرف في نيوزيلاند انه اغنام بتاع نيوزيلاند اكثر من الناس بتاعهم ذاته، وبلد يعني اخضر زي جنوبنا، وكمان بلد يعني عنده لغتين، لغه بتاع موري هو الانديجينس بتاع البلد ده، وكمان اللغه الانجليزيه. في وقت ده انا قلت يا اخي انا عندي 80، انا قلت يا اخي انا وصلت في بلد بانجليزي البسيط عندي ده انا ممكن نلقى شغل طوالي. فوكده انا وصلت، انا كنت ما بعرف انه في جنوبيين انا بلقاهم في البلد ده. وكده انا وصلت في مكان يعني مكان مركز لما اللاجئين يوصلوا المهاجرين يوصلوا البلد يعني هم بقوا هناك لان 6 اسبوع عشان يقدر يعرفون انه بلد ده شنو وقوانين بتاعه شنو. فوقت ده وقت وصلنا هنا ده انا قلت يا اخي اول حاجه انا ده نعمله انا ده نشتغل. يعني الشغل انا دايره ده انه انا لازم عشان نعمل حاجه بالنسبه للاسره بتاعي الصغير. انا وصلت هنا من سوريا عندي بنات 2 وانا قلت انه انا بلقى الشغل بسرعه وكمان الشغل انا بلقاه نقدر نساعد ناس في بلد. وحاجه ده طبعا يعني انت لما تكون اكبر زول في الاسره يعني الحاجه اللي اكثر من البيت يعني بتوقع لك انت كزول الكبير في البيت. سو افكار ده كان في الراس بتاعي. لكن انا وقت وصلت ارض الواقع اللي انا شفته ده ما هو ياو انا عندي في افكار بتاعي. يعني وقت جيت ياو اذا عرفت مع ناس سودانيين في اوكلاند. انا قاعد في اوكلاند. سو نفس المفهوم انا جبته من سوريا وانا جبته من السودان كمان انه نحن سودانيين متكاتفين دائما. يعني الناس اللي كان قاعدوا في خرطوم معناها انا كنا قاعدين في خرطوم ناس بعرفوا انه السودانيين او الجنوبيين يعني تضامن والتضامن بتاعهم كان شنو. وقت وصلت في سوريا the same منوال. يعني الجنوبيين هم متكاتفين. ابن الناس الاكثر تكاتفا كان النساء يعني في سوريا الزمن قاعدنا فوقه. يعني انا وقت جيت في بلد ده يعني انا شفت في سودانيين جايين من كينيا وباقيين جايين من يوغندا. انا شفت انه عشان تلقى شغل في البلد ده مشكله. والدافع الاكبر خلاني انه انا ذاته نرجع نفسي نسال نفسي ده شنو جابني في البلد ده سوشيال ويلفير سيستم. انه انت تمشي عشان يدوك حاجه لما يعيش بتاعك وحاجه ده انا ما بعرف في حياه بتاعي. يعني بيقولوا لك يا اخي انت بديك حاجه لكن المعنى انت بتلقاه بورا حاجه ده يعني ما سهل. انه لازم انت تلقى شغل. يعني قروي ده بديك له وبديك معناه لازم تلقى شغل. لكن السؤال انا سالت نفسي انا بلقى الشغل كيف؟ انا زول جديد في البلد. انا ما عندي معارف. انا ما عندي بنت اتصالات مع الناس حوالي وما عندي قريبي ذات. يعني الناس دي التفكير بتاعهم انا عرفت انه في حاجه غلط. ان انت زول الليله جاي انت زول جديد وبيقولوا لك حاجات ذاته يعني امكانياتك ما بيسمح لك انه انت تعمل حاجه ده. فهذا هو كده انا شفته. انا بديت انه نبني علاقاتي مع السودانيين الموجودين. فانا لقيته قبل كده كان عندهم كوميونتي. فانا سالته انه ده شنو حصل يا ما في نشاطات. فانا ضميت مع بعض من الناس الاخوه والاخوات في السودان الموجودين. وحاجه العاصف الشديد دافعني انه الناس الموجودين في نيوزيلاند يا نساء يعني ما عندهم رجال بتاعهم مات في الحرب. وعندهم عيال بتاعهم معهم وخاصه اولاد ديل. يا انا خطيت نفسي في نفس المكانيه لانه انا يتيم ابوي قتلوه كمان. فانا شفت نفسي هنا انا اب. انا ممكن نشيل دور بتاع شنو؟ دور بتاع ام او خال. وممكن يدي يدعون لعيال التالين المحتاجين لتقديم للمجتمع بتاعنا. طبعا نحن السودانيين نحن تربينا في كوميونتي ما تربينا في فاميلي. يوم من هناك قعدنا كوميونتي بتاعنا عملناه. انا قعدت فوق قالوا لي يا اخي انت ممكن تكون رئيس بتاعنا. انا قلت لهم انا ما ممكن اكون رئيس لانه انا جديد. قعدت في ليدرشيب دور بتاعي جاي كنت رئيس. فتشت الطرق بتاع علاقات مع الناس الموجودين في البلد ده انه كيف نحن لازم يكون عندنا نشاطات. لانه الليله كانسان يعني ما تقدر انه تجيب سلام او تجيب معرفه كويس بين الناس without activities. من هذا المنوال نحن جبنا البروجرام او بروجكت كول بوزيتيف بارنتنج. كيف نحن ممكن نريس عيال بتاعنا في البلد ده بمستوى بتاع الجنوبيين ومستوى بتاع نيوزيلاند. وحاجة تانية كمان إنه كيف نحن نجيب culture بتاعنا هو عادات وتقاليد بتاعنا كجنوبي نجيبه مع بعض. حاجة ده أدانا روحية إنه في فرصة إنه جنوبين متكاتفين في بلدنا. فحاجة الأكبر دفعني شديد ده ياو كان عندنا program بتاع عادات وتقاليد رقيص وحاجات زي ده. فمرة بتاعي كان بيساعد ياب. فالشغل بتاعي أنا عندي أنا بدين عربية من الكنيسة أنا بمشي فوقه أنا بمشي بلقي ديال ده بميرهم وقاعدين فوق وأنا بجيبهم بدربهم وكن لما نكون في مناسبات لأنه كلنا صوت سودانيز ما في زول بقول ده قبيلة كده قبيلة كده أنا قاعد نرقص كله رقص بتاع قبائل شوية شوية وقت ناس يعني تطوروا ناس شافوا أنفسنا إنه في تطوير ابن في تكاتف. طبعا في المجتمع لازم يكون في ناس always negative يعني الناس السلبيين يا هم بقول يا اخي عجاد الماشي قدام ده ما انا باندي وزار بلقى حاجه برا عيالنا ديل you know يعني حاجه مؤسف يعني انا ما عرفتها after عيال ديل هم كبروا في بلد يوم من الايام هم وقت هم في مع بعض هم ما بعرفوا ده من ياتو قبيلاتهم هم بعرفوا بس جنوب السودان that's it.
alright انت قلت كلام مهم جدا يعني انت لما جيت من سوريا you know you were from the time انت جيت من سوريا انت جيت انت كنت جديد وفي بدايه بتاع كلام بتاعك انت تكلمت عن السكان الاصليين
yes
and indigenous people of this and you call them في روتانا انا ما اعرف انت كنت Morin.
Yes, Mori.
Morin. Now, indigenous people meeting another indigenous communities. It's from your experience, because I'm really very interested really to know hala jamaa عندهم لغة and جنوبين الهناك were they able to learn this language? Because asir بتاع إنك إنت تعيش كويس مع الناس إنك إنت تعلم لغتهم. I'm facing the whole realities here. I'm in the Netherlands, and for me to be able to even read my letter, I need to have an ABCD of Dutch, so that at least I can be able to, to go about. So how did you people decided to break that cycles of hurdles as people? I know it is very easy for young children, and it's not very easy for big people. But how did this community work that you have also done decided to contribute in unleashing these potentials of the people to now not only learn the language, because language is part and parcel of the integration processes.
Yeah, أول حاجة وكده أنا انضميت لليونيفرسيتي ده. أول حاجة شروط بتاعهم لازم تعرف نفسك. ده أول حاجة أنت بتشوف بعدين اكتشاف الذاتي. ده أول مرة أنا اكتشفت إنه أنا منو. يعني في يونيفرسيتي بتاعهم هم بيقولوا لك إنه لو أنت ما بتعرف نفسك معناته أنت ما بتكون part بتاع الدراسة بتاعهم. لأنه المشكلة بتاعهم مع المستعمر. لأن المستعمر لسه قاعد معهم. فنحن صوت سوداني أو جنرال سودانيز مستعمر ما قاعد معنا. فحاجة اللي فيه يعني في مذهب بالنسبة لهم إنه لازم اللغة بتاعهم يكون اللغة الأصلي بتاع البلد ده. والحاجة هم علموا من المستعمر. طبعا المستعمر اللي ما داير حاجة كويس بالنسبة له. ودايرك إنه لازم يغيرك عشان تكون جزء لا يتجزأ منه. فحاجة هم عملوا إنه شنو لو أنت بدأت تكون في جزء لا يتجزأ من المجتمع بتاعهم لازم تعرف نفسك أول. لأنه هم ما داير يغيرك. فمبدأ بتاعهم إنه لو أنت ما كنت أنت كيف تقدر تكون زول تاني. دي أول مرة أنا اكتشفت نفسي إنه أنا ما جيت في البلد ده for nothing. I am here for a reason. والreason ده دي أول سؤال بتاع الناس ديل. لأنه في سؤال سألوني ذاته ليه أنا نكون معهم وأنا ما من بلد ده. فأنا قلت يا أخي أنا أنا جاي من بلد بتاعي، أنا ذاته نيتيف، وأنا جيت في بلد بتاع نيتيف، وده مشيه بتاع ربنا. يعني هذا من خلال الدراسة أنا أخذته من الجامعة بتاعكم ده، وراني ذاته هنا كيف أنا نكون أبان كشخص، نكون شركاوي، نكون ساوث سودانيز، نكون ساوث سودانيز نيوزيلندا. يعني أنت بتقدر يعني تفصل all those things so that you will know how you're going to be contributing as a person. So within all indigenous يعني في بعض من الناس هم ما بعرفوا انفسهم هم زاد اصلين المير هم جايين فوق، لانه في حاجه confusion. الهجره فيه confusion يعني. طب بالنسبه للساوث السودانيين الموجودين في نيوزيلاند يعني عندنا حياه كويس، لكن زي ما انا قلت في 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 في, في المقطع انا كان رسلته، انه في بعض من اسمه شنو ده، في بعض من example اللي هو ان the research finding في voice بتاع نسوان وفي صوت بتاع شباب.
Yeah, we will come to that part yet, but
أنا داير ندخل شوية يعني هنا ده في الكلام اللي أنت جبته اللي هو في موضوع forced displacement ده اللي خلاك في الجامعة ده، يعني أظهر في ذاتك، وده حاجة المشاهد لازم يستفيد فيه منه على فكرة. يعني ظهر في ذاتك إنه أنت اكتشفتها بإنه يعني أنت ذاتك ما تنسى الثقافة بتاعتك. وده هو انت يعني انت عكست الكلام ده في self recovery. You need to recover yourself as someone survive from that situation, and now you're in a different situation, and now you discover yourself. فده النقطة المهم جدا الناس يعني يثبتوها، والمشاهد لازم يستفيد منه. وعلى فكرة الكلام ده جميل جدا، لأنه ده هو الحياة اللي احنا هسه قاعد يواجهنا في الحالة اللي احنا فيه ده. لو قدرت تضيف حاجة Dominic.
It is very important, my brother, this self-realization, self-recovery, self-discovery, self-actualization. Because the most important thing is, as a human being, like what Bob Marley say, you have to know yourself in the abundance of the water. Because the pool is always dirty. But the question that will be rising up is that now, how did you decide to, as Abann, after self-actualization, self-realizing, self-discovery, and to relate, these processes or this knowledge of applying leadership, and how can it be used to build and enhance, the relationship of the South Sudanese community and the other ethnic communities? Because remember, from your talk, and that is what we are going to base most of our talks on what you will be really talking to us, is that you are asked this pertinent question: who are you? For you to discover yourself. And once you know yourself, then you can be able to relate yourself with them, and then you can be able to relate yourselves with the other communities that is around yourself, and you will eventually flourish. So what is this self-actualization help you in actually helping the South Sudanese communities and the other communities at large, from your own perspective and from your role, even in the community organization that you people are running? Because I know you are a community leader, a human rights advocate, and somebody that has done a lot of great things. So the floor is yours, my brother.
Okay. اكتشاف الذاتي or التعافي الذاتي, which is self-recovery, has come through my work and my study. In my work, I help a lot of people who are new to New Zealand how to settle in New Zealand. For me, I see myself, I have advanced in the systems in more than 9 years doing voluntary work, helping other people in the capacity of understanding New Zealand way of life, and also balance that way of life, how that can be balanced with the culture where we come from. So I discovered this because what is important what happened to me in the past. There is one thing I need to refer where the audience will be able to think for themselves. We know there is something called self-talk. When you have internally have conversation with yourself, there are two things you need to consider in terms of the positive and negative. So for me, I came to New Zealand with a burden that my grandfather had been killed, my father had been killed, my brother had been killed in the current what is going on in South Sudan. And I realized I have children as well. Without knowing, I might be able to pass all those iterate negative thinking to my children. And I discovered that what happened in the past, I will not be able to do anything about it. At least I need to do something in the current time, and that will engage with the future. So through this, I come to conclusion to make sure that if I don't have something today to offer to someone else, I will not be able to do that. So I try to re-educate myself within a New Zealand context, although there is a lot of challenges, but I took that challenges as opportunity as well. So within that, engaging was not just only South Sudanese, but with other forced migrants who come to New Zealand. I've been able to engage with them and share what knowledge do I have and create that relationship that will have a positive income to them and to myself. So when I recover, I am in a position of giving something which is I have to help someone. And by the way, what switched that, because there is something here the audience need to know. When I come to New Zealand, while trying to find a job, I try to do automotive engineering study so that I can do my own business. But I reached to the point that studying other non-for-profit organizations, qualifications, and reaching to what I'm going to answer you about the book later on. The humanity which those people have, and the love which those people have. And there is a word within in New Zealand called manakitanga, the kindness, the welcoming, the support, the empathy. I've been associated with those values. And those values give me opportunity to recover. But the recovery is not the point for me. But discovery is the most important, where I will be able to lean a hand to other South Sudanese or forced migrants within a New Zealand context. But actually, that book is not just only for forced migrants themselves, also for the whole society to have better understanding where we come from. Because if I come to your house today, in my opinion, I need to introduce myself to you. And that is what is that native displacement in 21st century, applying leadership knowledge, it will do that job. You know, because we are here, we're searching for a peaceful place. We come from a war and we don't have any aiding agenda. New Zealand is our home today. And we need to protect New Zealand too. And we need to be part of New Zealand in the way how we can contribute whatever opportunity we have. So this is opportunity to other South Sudanese or anyone who's been displaced to look at yourself. To look at yourself, work something out before you judge other people. Yes, we have a lot of challenge in life, but rather to be a negative, turn it to positive. You know, that will help. And I hope this kind of conversation, some people will be able to articulate, because that book actually is a template for everyone who think that he need to change in life for the betterness of thinking before doing things. So I think I answer your question, Ustaz Teresa and Bajmandis Dominic.
Yeah, indeed, you have answered. Teresa, you wanted to talk?
No, I just wanna add into what you just say as a point that I want also to يعني نقول بعربي عشان نثبت برضه للمشاهد بانه الحاجه اللي انت عملته انت جيت بافكار محدود افكار محدود انك انت بس داير تشتغل، يكون عندك يعني تهتم بعيالك واسرتك، ولو في حاجه تساعد بو ناس الورا. لكن انت جيت لقيت انه المسؤوليه بقى اكبر من كده. ما it's not only you as you discover yourself or you actually now recover yourself. المشكله اكبر من كده، انك انت ذاتك تقدم للمجتمع ولاسرتك والمجتمع ككل اللي انت بقيت جزء منه. فده نقطه انا داير نثبته للمشاهد بانه ده نقطه مهم جدا في هذا الكتاب، وده بيساعدنا احنا في الحاله بتاعنا اللي احنا فيه. واصل
Yeah,
اخوي دومينيك
shukran,
لو عندك
shukran.
حاجه ثانيه، بس
Let me
نقطه انا
really
داير.
thank you, because that was what I alluded to earlier, that your book is not much in difference than the information that I got is really pertinent, because I am aware that the primary objectives as to why you use these things is to acquire information. But not only that, you also use this information, you'll be using this information in order to support the South Sudanese communities, so that they can be able to understand, so that they can be able to improve their situations, so that they can be able to appreciate their difference in the country where they are. Because this is some of the delusions of human being, even the ones that were in the 1970s. By the way, the first war took a lot of South Sudanese outside, and that was what is in their perception. Ana Raji Juba, Ana Raji Junub. Some people lived in Khartoum for 50 years. They did not have a house. They did not have the basic necessities of life. They did not have nothing, simply because they think they are going back to Juba. But your studies, and which I will dive into it, and this is what you have talked about, in that it was able to very quickly make you rediscover yourself and try to fix yourself within the indigenous community and within the context of the New Zealand and the market, so that you can only not make something good for yourself, but for the people that you have done. And as a contribution, and that the most important thing is actually the burden of the past, because some of our people will not want to really very quickly think outside the box or without the box, so that they can be able to now take the advantages of the low fruits that are there. And that one really wanted somebody with a prepared mind. And I would like to thank you so very much for it. But I'm so interested your research. And I wanted to know the findings, because it is actually in the findings that you will try to tell the South Sudanese what is exactly, the things that you think will make South Sudanese prosper as indigenous people. How can they unleash the burdens of their, past, as they flee conflicts, as they seek refugee status, asylum status? What is it that they can be able to do? And how can they make a meaning out of, their new lives? So I think you have captured these things in your and you have also answered these things. So I wanted you to take us through the book, as you answer the findings of your work through the stages that you have managed to put in those books. So, my brother, I'm really very interested, to know. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. What's in the findings? I think I have categorized three areas of displacement. One, when you leave your country seeking for refuge, which is there is a consequence, because I'm not going to be just telling what all about the book, but I will be able to give you summary, so that film mind في discuss بتاعنا الناس اللي بكون دايرين book بعدين هو بعرفوا حقائق الموجود في الbook. So within the findings, I categorize the findings, some of them in the three stages. and those stages, which is leaving a country of origin, searching for safety or refuge, and also being in the second country of origin, second country of asylum, which is refugees' host country. There is a lot of issue which is people are facing there. There are people who go to refugees camp, and there are people who seek asylum. And also within resettlement country, the third country of the resettlement, which is New Zealand, where I conducted my research. So within that, there are examples of the themes which is come out from the research. And those themes is related directly to the healing process and also the community relationship that are lagal and mujtama. So one of the example I just in terms of Amaliyat Shifa, which is some of the members was saying things. I can just read it out so the audience will be able to articulate this. I am very concerned about what's happened back home, affecting us here in New Zealand. Hearing news from back home every day, every week, every month, every year. Far from sending money to family and extended family, you hear that your uncle, cousin, friend, etc., is sick or dying due to ongoing conflict. Those bad news bring back everything we witnessed and observed during the displacement. I am aware that we will not forget what's happened to us, but we will need support to forgive ourselves for the past and to move on with our life. Those memories also will be passing on to our children who are born in New Zealand without knowing. A South Sudanese woman in Auckland. One of the voice of the woman, what they were saying actually is really, it's a touching and it's emotion, because what is happening in the back home now is also contributing
So
to.
let me interject here. This is like when you did the research?
Yes, when
And
I
this
did
is
the
one
research, this
of
is the
the
voice of.
and this is a voice of like a healing from the healing process. One voice talking about it.
Yes,
Yeah,
the voice
just
from
to
the
make clarification.
participant. They're trying to heal, but they refer, while they are healing within the New Zealand context, the news coming from back home is a trigger the past as well within the New Zealand context, because they're trying to move on with their life. But what's happening in the back home is disturbing them, which is means within this research is helping people who in the context of what is happening in back home, how do we contribute? I think that is one of the adding value to the research as well, so people will know that there are people or South Sudanese who become a citizen in another country, they're still having a relationship with back home because the relative is still there. But the burden in terms of financial is still rely on them because they support within New Zealand context. But the news, those are the most disturbing from them. So what they're saying here, if the leadership knowledge, which is the research trying to find the answers, if people who are in the leadership is not necessarily being in the government, but any leadership, what's in the context of South Sudan is, and you think you can contribute something to solve the problem, that is really they are related to in that voice when it comes to a process of healing. And as I said before, this process is really target individual, because for me, I said it in the book clearly that I forgive myself to forgive others who done something for me or done something for my family. Because without forgiving myself, the healing will not take place. Because when I give myself opportunity and forgive myself, I will be able to forgive anyone else. So this is the process of how the healing is taking place within myself. You know? So this is one of the examples. And within the finding as well, I find out that because I conducted research in the two cities, one in Auckland and one in Wellington. This is where the South Sudanese
Before
are
you go to
located.
that, let's stand here in this healing.
Yeah.
Because now you're saying this is a outcry from this healing process. One lady,
Yeah.
she said that according to yourself, you have this self recovery and self discovery. In
Mm.
your opinion, how do you think that they should deal uh, with this in their way to get healing if the past is still hunting them by hearing this bad news? What do you think in your own way؟ يعني انت بتشوف كيف يعني الطريقه اللي هم ممكن يمشوا في حاله بتاع المصالحه مع نفوسهم عشان ذاته هم يقدر يمشوا على حياتهم، لكن في نفس الوقت نفس الحاجه بتاع الماضي اللي لسه بيجوا لهم عن طريق بتاع الاخبار، والناس لسه محتاجه لمساعده ماليه وما الى اخره. فانت كده وضح الكلام ده، الهيلينج ده ممكن يتم كيف؟ فانت you already healed yourself, maybe some of them, but this thing is coming back to them, especially
Yeah.
this woman here.
Yeah, I think what is important, Ustaz Teresa, is to have a healthy dialogue. The healthy dialogue was in the New Zealand contract for those who still been hunting by the past. And also, I think why this kind of conversation come to this forum, because people need to start talking, because the more we talk about the issue, which is we are concerned about, we might be able to help one another to find a solution. And for that woman in particular, what is happening in back home, it might be more than just what I capture from her, because the feelings was in the New Zealand context. We have a services, but what's in the services coming to the indigenous length of leadership is the healings. It's not because people need to be given medicine or people need to be given something so that they can heal from that, but it's actually it's a healing from what has happened. If there is peace in South Sudan right now, believe me or not, I think every South Sudanese in diaspora or whatever they are, they're going to be happy and they will start recovering. So this recovery is really something to do with what is going on in back home. We need to have peace, and that peace to come, we need to accept ourselves as a South Sudanese, and this is one of the things is taking us back. Within the context of New Zealand, if I can refer to, is that peacefully we live in peace, but mentally, many of our members that are not living in peace because of what is happening in back home. And what is happening in back home need to have really collective approach that will allow and accept every individual South Sudanese to contribute whatever they can to make sure our country have a peace. Because without peace, all those challenges will still hunting us back. Even I am saying I recover. Am I saying in the book? But what's happened tomorrow? If it's still going, it's going to trigger what's happened in the past. So we are all in the journey of the recovery of the things that are not being articulated. So my answer to you is that for us as a South Sudanese, either within New Zealand or in the back home or diaspora, we need to come together and start having a healthier dialogue that will give us opportunity to heal individually or collectively.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, then you can continue from there, Dominic, if you want, because you said the second part of the research you're about to say, and then I interjected, brother Abann.
Yeah, no worries.
Continue. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can continue. Then I will come back to the question because it is more related to the same thing. But because what with regards to this, the journey, the traumas of fleeing as a refugee, which you have alluded to. When you started fleeing from your country and you move through stages, the waiting time, whether this is in Cairo or in Syria, and once you reached, an origin, because some people they go to America direct and they start to wait also for the asylum process. They flee to Auckland and they become part and parcel of the system. So in the process, you must also wait. That has got a lot of a contributing factor, especially into the psyche of the big people. The children are moldable. And that is why I am so interested in these the studies. And when you apply these studies into the community life, what will it contribute so that even the big people will not regurgitate, or they will not invite through the back doors those memories. Because from what you have seen, and I have felt it, and I have people talking to the people that assume everybody in South Sudan died today because of the failed leadership of Salva Kiir. This is not politics. But the people who are outside, like the Ark of Noah, will be the samples of the families outside here. But sooner did you later, Rakitito, you will agree with me that whatever is happening back is affecting the people here, where there are very, very thousands of miles away. And this means that the traumas are still there. But from your studies of self-recovery, self-actualizations, and the healing process, and what have you done? What are you people doing different in order to harmonize, the people, which is actually the second part of your talk, the community relationship, because community relationship will only be built when we visited our culture. Remember, not everybody come from Khartoum.
Yeah.
People are coming from Eastern Equatoria. I mean, from East Africa.
Eastern Africa. Yeah.
Yeah. And the type of life there, when East meets West, in an indigenous country, or in a different country, that is in and of itself a problem. So what are you parents doing to these also young children that you are giving birth to, so that at least they can now forget, the near misses of the historical past in your community relationship? So the floor is yours, my brother.
Thank you. You have a very, very tough question. What was really good was in a New Zealand context. Always there is a opportunity when the environment can give you something to do. The most of the parents who are really in diaspora, sometimes we are busy in our own disagreement in a way that how we can come together. But indirectly, whatever we have is really affecting our young people. And I can relate one of the examples, which is the voice of the young people when it comes to community relationship. And this is what they said, the young people who've been participating in the research. We get along because we have better understandings. We are limited in the numbers. Living in New Zealand represent a challenge is because you look different and people discriminate you because your background or the color of your skin. Those kind of the challenges young people are facing, this is in the public, but the same time was in the family, the communication, it become very important element. And that is really giving us an example of cultural activities or cultural programs. For example, when we have a South Sudanese celebration, what we do, we make sure that we train our children to come and reflect our culture within that context. We try to have some of the thing there because it's important to have intergenerational dialogue, which is from my point of view, I understand that what does that mean? But other parents might not have the opportunity to be able to understand that. But what helps us is that to create a program that will bring the community together where everyone will have something in that program. That is what helps. But really, our young people within the context of living in diaspora, they are facing a lot of problems. We as adults, we need to take responsibility to that because some of us, through this research, they're still living in denial. They're still ignoring even the reality of their life, where they are today, they're not considering that. And by the way, some of the people within the research, they are led to say some of us is still living, the past is holding us hostage, okay? Because we're not getting out from there. We are isolating ourselves from other people where we can socialize to make sure we are adopting New Zealand way of life. But that it will not come unless we have the leadership that it will start bringing the program to the community, where the community will start realizing the opportunity what New Zealand can offer to them, either within New Zealand or other countries within diaspora. But there is a lot of work need to be done, Dominic, in that particular, the community relationship. Because what is really is matter is that when people start create a momentum of the relationship, this is where the trust will occur. And when the trust is occur, it's giving us how we can live alongside one another without discrimination and without rejecting other people, regardless to the language or regardless to your tribe or regardless to whatever social status you have within a society. So it still is a challenge.
Dominic, you're mute. You're mute.
That is a very convincing generalization, and you have alluded to something that is really very important. From the crisis of the youth. When they say that we are people from the different generation, we are people from a different mindset, and like I told you before, that children tend to learn and assimilate with their colleagues as you take them to schools. But sometimes parents, we still live with our hands over. We still live with our cultural attitude. We are very crude, very, very crude. To refine us will take us a lot of time, because probably our minds have been rusted. And I would really love to know whether those challenges are there, of course, and it is individual challenges. For example, it is me, Dominic. I must understand that I have to navigate in a society that I'm really very different by grasping the opportunity and the low fruits that are there. But as a community, because probably one of the important artifacts of your research is you are trying to understand and relate this into the context of the indigenous people and how did they succeed. Because if others can be able to succeed, why are we not succeeding? And what is it that they have made really so different to make them succeed? So what are you also at the level of the community doing in order to break these cycles of a curse, if not a hurdle that is within the community? And are the community people really accepting it? That the children are really very different, and so they need to have a conversation between their children, their girls, their daughters. As a my daughter betaka give boyfriend without is a very big problem. Wale to give girlfriend without dugu, which because you are still stuck in our contemporary South Sudanese culture, which is very difficult. Otherwise, you will land yourself into police, and I believe a lot of parents have fallen into this trap. So, what have you, the lessons? Because I'm really very interested about the lessons as an expert in that area of community. You have a number of years working with these people, and I believe, like I said earlier, South Sudanese, whether this is in America, in East Africa, in Europe, will benefit from this talk of you as an expert in that field. So, my brother, Abann, I'm very interested to know from your wisdom.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic. I think what I have done so far wasn't the organization I work. We have a process of 3 areas in our work as a core business, which is research, leadership, and advocacy. So what we do, we start educating the New Zealand legal system, so that they will have better understandings when our young people have a problem with the law. myself, I'm one of the expert cultural writings to the court, and in order for them to understand the context of the culture where those young people come from. And then they're going to be able to make sure that, because within the New Zealand context, you need to have both sided stories within the fear understanding, because you can't have just one-sided stories that can save justice. So you need to have two-sided stories. And what is my advocacy head, what we do is that we make sure even the young people understand the system of New Zealand, how it works, and also the system need to understand what culture that young person are affiliated to. Okay, that's what we learned so far. Then we have also learned through the social welfare systems. There is a organization called SIF, which is the government department who look after the children who been abused by the or been neglected from their parents or caregivers. So we engage with them also to educate them about where we're coming from and how they're going to be able to liaise with the indigenous of New Zealand, because there are similarities within the indigenous context. Where we're coming from as South Sudanese, we have a similarity with the indigenous of New Zealand. It's not really very different when it comes to the cultural norms. The moral cultural is really very, very, very valuable to us as a South Sudanese if we need to relate ourselves to kind of those stuff. Then what is happening also, what we have learned within the context of the parents within in New Zealand, the parents are very strict to the girls compared to the boys, because the girls, they've been restricted rather than the boys. The boys, they just be a boys and engage with the New Zealand society. And some of them actually, they have intermarried with the New Zealand context. Some of them Maori, some of them Pacific Island, because we beleda ma fi bagar bit power. So علاقه بتاعت اللي طبعا في بلد عندنا في زمن بتاعنا هنا عشان تتكلم مع بنت how many years or months to take so that بقول ولا انا بحبك. لكن في بلد كاواي هنا ده كوبايه واحد بس اهلا وسهلا, that's it, علاقه ربط. So that is a culture very, very different for us. And Haja Tani, which is, we are proud of South Sudanese kids. They're proud of who they are. It's really, really, they're proud of who they are. Kalam de to go to bed. Yani الشباب والشابات يعني هم لسه عندهم علاقات مع أسر بتاعهم, يعني they're doing very well. And within a New Zealand context, إذا أنت بتلقى الشباب شغالين إما هم بيدرسوا, ما في زول قاعد حاضر. And that is which is the fruit of the community being together. And that is something I am proud of within a New Zealand context with our lad Bitana. So we're trying also to make sure we need to have relationship with other countries like Australia, Greece, or Europe. لأن هسه حاجة البقى هسه كparents نحن بقينا ذاته we need to lobby إنه ولد بتاعي بزوج بيت بتاع تريزا وتريزا ولا تريزا زوج بيت بتاعي, لأنه ما عندهم relationship. ما في ناس هم بيتضموا مع بعض عشان يعرفوا أنفسهم. So this is a crisis also is coming to us as a South Sudanese within the diaspora. Compared to other ethnic background, some of them they go back home. يعني هم بيمشوا في بلد هناك بيزوجوا وهم بيرجعوا. يعني الكلام ده عندنا كمان within New Zealand here. شباب بتاعنا بيمشوا في بلد هناك وهم بيزوجوا وبيجيبوا نسوان بتاعهم بيجي هنا. لكن حاجة لسه ما وصل إنه البدي يمشي بلد هناك يزوجوا عشان يجيب ولد to New Zealand. يا حاجة لسه we are working on it. Dominic, we have a platform as a New Zealanders to be adopted by other South Sudanese in other places. And that is require us to have kind of this conversation in how we can help ourselves in terms of information and in terms of how we can access some of the things that we can benefit from one another.
Yeah, very, 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 very beautiful. Very, very, very beautiful. And that takes me to this central question, and maybe I just ask it very quickly. Yeah, because you have said it earlier in part of your talk. The fact that parents are so busy with life, You know, that is typical of an American situation, but I know in Europe and America is that work is work. You don't job. But in the processes of doing work, you know, their children will end up not being, looked after, and therefore they become neglect. And now companies like this or people will come and take their children out of them. And I think this is where your community really comes into play. But what I would really wanted to to know from you and as an advice, because you are also engaging with the authorities so that they can be able to understand where you guys are coming from.
Yeah.
And some of your cultures, which to me is very important, because most of our times we tend to also live as South Sudanese, forgetting that we are part and parcel of the bigger community or the newfound community that we are in. Yeah. So as an advice from you, what will you say to other diasporians, so that they can be able to embrace the same, way that you people have managed to succeed? Because one of the important things that you also have said is that a lot of children are going to school, and that is also a success story. Because otherwise, what would you inherit from your parents if not the education that they are given to you? You have to work so that you can be able to live your life better. So education is key. What is it that you people are doing differently so that your children may get encouraged in order to really, embrace education and know that it is from the education that you people can better not only your lives, but even, South Sudan. And then I'm also very interested in the leadership knowledge that you have seen, as you apply this leadership knowledge into this community work. Some of your advice so that your brothers and sisters that are in other parts of the world may also benefit from your experience and the lesson that you've learned. Will replicate the same thing, because I found the same problem here, in where I come from. Unlike the other African communities, European are a little bit different, and that one I will come and ask you later. But the floor is yours for you to give us about the lesson learned and the examples. And maybe Teresa Loindak Soal, Wardo, you can also answer and interject. But go ahead, Abann.
No, now I can go ahead, and I think people now they starting to ask questions here. They want answer from him.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So
let us tell our viewers that there is a timeline. Once we are done with our questions, then we can open the floor for more interactions with the author of the book, and Ustaz Abann, so that he can be able to now answer your questions as going forward.
Okay, there are two important examples which I can give advice on. As a society, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, but my advice to you, if there is any conversation need to be taken place about the community, we don't need to leave the voice of youth, the voice of women in the table. Anything to do with the community initiative, we need to have the voice of youth, we need to have the voice of women present in the table. That's one important. And the second thing which I need to say is this. I label myself as someone from the past and the present. And my children, they are the present and future. The contact point between me and my children is the present time. If I am a father or a mother, the current time we are in now is not going to come back because life is one. So what is important, try your best. Whatever you can pass it on, it's a very important and need to be a positive one. We as a parents, we don't need to mix our own issue within our community that will have impact on our children. For example, lo ana indi mushkila ma anyone within the community, yal bitaw ma abriya, ma fi haja dakal ben yal bitaw ma mushkila bitaw mao. Yal bitaw ma indu mushkila dakal ma zola ana indi ma mushkila. If we start distinguish our own problems within individual and a group, we will be able to allow ourselves to accept ourselves who we are. And that it will prepare for us to have a healthier dialogue. And always, if we accept ourselves as an individual, that also it gives a platform to other people to be accepted by you. So what I am saying is this: we have the opportunity. Let's try to be flexible when it comes to the thinking. For me, I try to turn the negative thought of saying that the challenge I have faced in New Zealand to a positive one. This is where the outcome of that I have having a conversation with you right now. Because everyone who comes to a new place, always you're going to have a challenge. But what you will try to do is that accepting that challenge is not a weakness, it's a strength. And that is strength, you will have a positive outcome of it. And believe me or not, you're not alone. Try to reach out whatever you can. There are people outside there will be able to lend a hand. For me, having a conversation with you here today, I have people which is I've been able to reach out to ask for help. And that means I help myself when I reach out to help other people to help me. So anyone who want to do something which is different from the normal life we have, because the title of the book is the 21st century. I think that is the century we start questioning ourselves, rather questioning other people, where we will be able to function as individual, as a nation. I said it from the starting point. We as a Sudanese, we have 199 years in conflict. Okay? That is not a South Sudanese or a Sudanese where we should be observed. And I might have opportunity next time to explain why I'm saying this. And also, the more you advance the knowledge, the more you start being afraid of what you see. You know? So my advice is, it's important to reach out if you need help. Sometimes these are two things I can share it about the beauty of New Zealand. Okay? If you don't know nothing in New Zealand, they will not love on you. It's the opposite. They will try to make you understand what is there. Okay? Lo inta ma bitar ba ya haja, kuma ma bitago fik. Al aks, kuma ba wulu ashan ifahimok, ashan take the tire wal haja da. Okay? Haja tani in New Zealand, ma fi haja ismu sual bilit. Okay? ده ياو من خلال الفرصه ده ياو قلنا انه لازم واحد يعمل حاجه لانه ما لقيناه قبل كده ولا لقيناه في السودان ولا لقيناه في سوريا ولا لقيناه في South Sudan لكن لقيناه هنا. That's why I have that opportunity and be who I am today. So this is my advice, brother.
Yeah, beautiful. I know that should be the conclusion. I know there's this is an advice in that context. And before, I mean, I have a one pertinent question, and I wanted to relate it to the cry of that lady.
Yes.
You know, when she said the things that we hear back home, the ones that are really breaking our hearts. You know, it is affecting negatively. But now there was actually, and I found it here, by the way, I also came in 2015 as a foreign student, and now I'm still here. One thing that I have realized was that the 2013 war was the the stroke that broke the camel's back in terms of our social fabric. Communities that used to be together, they used to coexist, they used to do their parties together, are no longer doing that. Churches have become, even in the church, people now pray differently. And it has negatively affected us, a lot of people outside here. And of course, coupled with the unfolding events that we have seen in South Sudan. When you listen to such crisis, then you are aware that something must really be done. That is so deep. And I wonder, probably that might be the same, things that you people are facing. And I'm also very interested to know, how did you, because you already say that, you guys are so one and so united. How did you people manage to navigate out of this situation? If it is there, and if it is not there, what are you guys doing in order to bring back the fabric of the society to the people of South Sudan, so that they don't have to reflect on the cost, like what you have said, in the stages of their problems, but they could make a benefit out of the new societies that they have found, so that they can be able, because it is actually in this self-realization and self-recovery, then you can be able to know that you're a person that have a purpose of life in this world, and therefore you can be able to navigate. So I wanted to know your thoughts in it, and you are free to talk to the people in Arabic and in English, so that at least at the end of the day we can be able to, like I said, it is not just a talk for some. We are also learning, and we are learning from an expert that has been in the community for such a long time. And I will give you the example of the Nigerian communities, why they are succeeding, or the Western African community, is because they stand as one. If you ask why are there are a lot of African from other communities in the football, in the sciences, in the industry, is because they have a sense of oneness, a sense of community. Something I think South Sudanese are struggling with it. So please, the floor is yours, my brother.
So I will come here strongly from the indigenous point of view. Just being a South Sudanese, going back. Because we South Sudanese, we believe that we all, in the title of any kind of the value as a South Sudanese altogether. There is something which is we need to understand. What is happening in South Sudan is that when it comes to the context of relationship of the communities, we a little bit get out from the thing that we support not to go to, because I believe أنا كنت طالب في السودان، أنا قريت في مدارس كثيرة ثانوية. But أنا بشوف إنه I can see right now everything is done based on the knowledge or بيقولوا ناس المتعلمين. Actually the تعليم اللي نحن عندنا في جنوب السودان يعني في مجالات ما بخش في السياسة، بخش في السياسة. والمشكلة الموجود في جنوب السودان ده مشاكل سياسية which is allude the civilian to be part of it, and that is very, very wrong. Really very wrong. If you are a politician, you are listening to what I am just saying here, just for me being just Abann, no one else. And I'm coming from the community voice. If you are a politician, from my point of view, any politician need to have a program that can deliver services to the community in a positive way. And if you are part of that, you want to deliver that services to the community, because community is the strongest ever. And I can give you examples. Last night we have an election where we have our new Prime Minister, Jacinta Ardern, has been re-elected to come to the power again for the next 3 years. As a community, we have a power to elect the person who will be able to deliver what the community want when it comes to priorities. So my advice within the context of South Sudanese is that let politics become a politics and let civilian be a civilian. What is happening is that المشاكل الموجود في بلدنا ده ما مشاكل سياسية، يعني ده ما مشاكل بتاع النسيج المدني، العلاقات الوطيدة كان موجود في داخل الإنسان الجنوبي which تمزق نتيجة mismanaging political way of doing it. That is very wrong. For I will add my voice to those innocent. Again, like I said before, this book has been dedicated to those who have been affected by the war of our country. And ما في زول بجي من برا بقول يا أخي وبجيب لنا سلام كجنوبين. سلام أصل الموجود معنا، ربنا زاد أدانا سلام. خلينا الناس بيكلموا بارو كلام الله، just forget it. خلينا الناس بيكلموا السياسيين ده هو بيكلموا كلام السلام، forget it. لو نحن قبلنا أنفسنا إنه نحن شعب جنوب السودان regardless لو قبيلة بتاعك ولا الدين بتاعك اللي عندك ده، that is what it needed. وربنا أدانا السلام في داخلنا، لكن نحن ما قبلناه. نحن دايرين إنه السلام ده يجيبوا ناس تاني من برا، السلام يجيبوا دول تاني لنا، السلام رؤساء بتاعنا يا بيجيبوا لنا. no. المواطن البسيط ده لو نحن حيينا له الجوع بتاعهم ده يا السلام ذات itself. فحاجة أنا داير نقوله إنه كان أنت سياسي ولا أنت مواطن، جيب سلام لنفسك. just أبدأ من نفسك. وكل زول لازم ياخذ مكانه بتاعه، ياخذ مسؤولية بتاعه. أنت كسياسي لازم يكون مجال بتاعك مجال بتاع السياسة. ما don't use the community for your own benefit so that you can be in power. That is very wrong. مواطن الجنوبي فحاجة نحن دايرين إنه كيف نحن نقبل أنفسنا كجنوبين regardless القبيلة بتاعك. ده حاجة أنا بقول في بلد ده. أنا قلت إنه لو أنا مشيت أقعد نتكلم مع السياسيين in a way إنه كيف يغيروا سياساتهم أو policy بتاعهم toward community، حاجة أنا بقول لهم أنا أنا ما يختار نفسي، أمي وأبوي هم ما يختاروني، وهم ما قالوا لربنا يا أخي ده نجيب أبان من العلاقات بتاعهم ياو جابوني. هم ما مسؤولين، أنا أسود وأنا أحمر، ده ما مسؤولين بتاعهم. You know? But what is important is to acknowledge the issue and take responsibility about it. التقسيم الموجود في بلد بتاعنا I relate to our community هنا. نحن بنقول ده ما مشاكل بتاع الجنوبين، نحن قاعدين مشاكل بتاع الناس تانيين. يعني the root core of مشاكل الأصل في بلد بتاعنا ده ما مشاكل بتاعنا. لو نحن سألنا أنفسنا جدود بتاعنا كان قاعدين في سلام كيف long time ago. معززين مكرمين، علاقاتهم بتاع الجيران كان ما في أي مشكلة. التعليم جاء مشاكل، السياسة جاء مشاكل، الدين ده ذاته جاء مشاكل. So نحن دايرين ننظر في حاجات زي ده. نحن دايرين ننظر الدين ذاته وكده جاوا في السودان ده كله. أنا بتكلم النطاق بتاع الدين، الديانة الموجودة جاوا في السودان. جابوا رسالة ذاته we never ask a question. لأنه كلام دين ده جابوا ب resources. إنتوا اللي قبلته مقابل حاجة. لكن نحن دايرين نسأل أنفسنا كجنوبين سؤال لازم كل زول يسأل نفسه. لو أنت داير تكون سياسي، ليه أنا داير أكون سياسي؟ Everything need to be have a reason for it. أنا ما داير أكون سياسي لأنه دومينيك سياسي. لأنه دومينيك هو بقى أمارة، أنا داير أكون سياسي عشان نبي أمارة كمان زي دومينيك. It doesn't make sense. لو أنت ما بقيت أنت ذاته yourself as a person، أنت كيف تكون زول تاني؟ وحاجة تانية إنه توعية بالنسبة للشعب الجنوبي is the most important. إنه كيف نحن نقدر نوعي الشعب بتاعنا. التوعية there a program. يعني I can relate to any political party within the South Sudanese. Please create a program that will empower the community to support your political agenda. Do that. ما تعملوا حاجة ناشف. just try to do something where you can just deliver services to the community where you will be able proud that I am here on behalf of the community. So that's the kind of the thing, Dominic, is really very important.
Yeah. I have one question.
Yep.
Oh, my question. You know, any country will only be governable, stable, if the laws are being fulfilled. And I think this is some of the things that you people have realized in the country that you are, where you are. You know, the implementations of the laws are so really strong. But if you looked, for example, into our context, you know, back in South Sudan, and you relate it, because your study is also something that can be applied, contemporary studies, for example, whether in the context of that, because your samples were Junubin and indigenous people, I think can also be applied on other indigenous, you know, societies, and it can work. Can you also tell us about the roles of the laws enforcement into the stability of those societies of the indigenous people in addressing their discrepancies? Because if you look at even the crises of those kind of women that are emanating from politicians, is that something somewhere is missing, that is not there, and that brings about these judgments, and that brings about these troubles. How are they doing it better, so that you can be able to advise, for example, South Sudanese people, so that you know, they can be able to learn from such experiences of people, because your children may want to go home, and one of the things that will be deterring your children from going home is actually this kind of challenges that they will be facing, including but not limited, you know, to the laws that you have said. And please, guys, share this video. I know such educative video. Sometimes it's not good. We have to bring people. Of course, we know we can talk about the near misses of the government, but you share these things so that our communities will also benefit from this expert. So, my brother, and I wanted you to, at the end of the day, to come and talk to us where we can also find your book, because this is very important. Because it's not about the talk, but it's also about reading it, so that the people can be able to purchase their copies, and they can have it, they can be able to dive in it, and they can be able to know about some of the things that you have said. But you know, my first question is really pertinent. The other one is just kind of things that I wanted you to add into it, so that the people will come into that. We come towards the nearing of our talk, so that we can be able to now open chances to the floor. You know, people who wanted to ask you, and you know, direct questions, and we can read it, or some of these questions can be brought up. If they are very interested in the control, they can bring it up so that you can be able to know. So please go out. Then I will give her a chance to my sister Teresa. If she has other things to ask you, she can also go with the asking. But yeah.
Okay. البناء بتاع البلد انا قاعد فوق ده يعني بيرجع يعني 100 سنة عشان the way who they are today. يعني ده هيكل الإداري بتاع الحكومة بتاعهم الليلة هم طبعا هم لسه تحت حكم بتاع الملكة البريطانية. لكن الحاجة الكويس إنه المؤسسات الحكومية كل زول have independent way of doing things. So لو أنت جيت في مجال بتاع justice ده حاجة يعني ما عنده علاقة مع prime minister. اللي تجيت في وزير الدفاع ما عنده علاقه مع برايم مينستر. يعني المثل القريب وقت عندنا لوك داون بتاع كوفيد 19 في بلد ده، يعني عشان وزير بتاع بوليس يطلب انه وزير بتاع الدفاع عشان ما يساعدوه لكنترول بتاع الحدود، ده حاجه داير كما ايام عشان الناس يقدروا يناقشوا، لانه كل حاجه يعني بيعملوا معه كما عمله خاصه، يعني ما عنده حاجه ثانيه مع النادي. فحاجه انا داير نقول انك حاجه يعني ممكن يكون مضحك او حاجه ثانيه. في نيوزيلندا لما الناس يكون في برلمان، طبعا انا قاعد نمشي هناك نتكلم كمان اجار بتاع كوميونتي. ابن زول اللي في بلد بتاعنا ده بتاع يو ان قبل ما يمشي جنوب السودان ده انا مشي نتكلم معه قبل ما يمشي. فحاجه اللي فيه لان احنا قاعد نتكلم في سلام في بلد بتاعنا. فالسؤال سالنا قال يا حبان يا بلد بتاعكم ده بيساعدوك كيف عشان يعني السلام ده يحفظوه؟ فانا قلت له يا ديفيد اصلا حاجه اسمه سلام في جنوب السودان ما في، فنحن دايرين الناس اللي بيمشي عشان يجيبوا سلام ذاته، لانه سلام بيحفظوه كيف وما في. اوكي هم ما دايرين الكلام ده. انا قلت له يا انت ما دايره، لكن ده حقيقه لو انت داير تساعد ناس بحقيقه بتاعك. اوكي يعني لو في سلام هناك ده يعني عشان بيحفظوا ده از ايزي، لكن اصلا ما في. اوكي سو حاجه انا داير نقوله انه في نيوزيلندا هنا politician بيمشي في parliament هو بيشاكلوا لمواضيع انه كيف كل زول يقدم خدمات للشعب بطريقه هو بيشوفه لامثل لبارتي ثاني. وكل الناس يشاكلوا هناك لما الناس تطلعوا برا، والله يا اخي السلام عليكم وعليكم السلام، نمشي نشرب شاي توجذر وناكل لانش، ذاتس ات. يعني كلام بتاع بوليتيك فضل هناك فضل هناك. يعني ما زي نانو جنوبي يعني انت زعلت من زول بكلام just opinion، يعني ده بكون مشكله كارثه. No ده ما politics you know. so حاجه انا ده نقوله انه شنو، نحن لازم في قرن 21 نحن لازم نوصل لحلول لمشاكلنا الخاصه. يعني نحن we don't need to think في ناس من برا بيجوا بيحلوا مشاكلنا. the more نحن بنحل مشاكل بتاعنا we are capable of it the more it easier. فحاجه ده نقوله شنو، عرب بيقولوا قال زول المناسب في مكان المناسب. والله يا اخي في البلد ده حسب فمين انا شغال فوق في حاجه اسمه conflict of interest. يعني مره بتاعي ويال بتاعي ما ممكن نجي نشغلهم في منظمه انا قاعد فوق وابن قريبي ذاته. لازم في حاجه اسمه job advertising يعمل contest like anyone else. ابن لو جاب بعدين زاد وصل انه في حاجه في معين في خطوات الناس بيعملوا فوقه، ده هو التقديم للمجتمع. حاجه اللي فيه انه لازم نحن دايرين الوعي التام. اوكي الوعي التام بالنسبه للمؤسسات الحكوميه والمؤسسات المدنيه، لانه هسه نحن انا بنشوف في جنوب السودان حكومه ما بيلوموا براو. This is my own opinion as Abann. حكومه ما بيلوموا براو is okay. They might have a lot of responsibility, but الحاجه اللي فيه انه لازم الناس تتناقش عشان يجيبوا حلول مع بعض. اوكي في نيوزيلندا هنا for example يعني opposition party the role of opposition party عشان يخد government accountable فالحاجه بعمله وشنو ما بلبى اسمه شنو ده المتطلبات بتاع الشعب. اوكي لو هم عملوا غلط ده لازم هم يحاسبهم. في البلد بتاعنا هنا ابن برايم مينستر الرئيس هم ماشي في الشارع عمل غلط بوقفوه بيحكموه زي اي زول، ما عنده فرق مع اي زول ثاني. اوكي نحن دايرين نوصل في قناعه انه بلد بتاعنا ده بلد بتاعنا، كمان نحن نفرق بين الشغل والشخصيه بتاع الزول. الشغل ده حاجه ثانيه والشخصيه بتاع الزول ده حاجه ثانيه. اوكي حاجات زي ده تكاتف، وخاصه يعني الرساله بتاعي ده بيمشي للناس اللي قاعدين في الدايسبورا عشان نقدر نساعد حالنا في بلد هناك. نحن دايرين نجي together. نحن ما نختلف في آراء، بنختلف في everything, but please we need to come together بأي ثمن. انت جنوبي انت قاعد برا انا ما بعرف لان لما اشوفك كجنوبي والجنوبيه انا بشكر ربي لانه انا ما يا خلقتك لكن ربنا يا خلقك. لو انا ما دايرك نقول يا اخي انت زول ثاني والقبيله ثاني ما انت زاد خفرت في ربنا اللي جابك في الدنيا ده. لانه في ناس بيقولوا انه هم بعرفوا كلام الله ده يا ناس زاد جابين باقي بتاعهم يا جابوا المشاكل في ميلنا انا موجودين فوق. لكن لو نحن بننظر في نظره بتاع انسانيه انه اي زول عنده حق انه يحترمه، اي زول عنده فرصه انه يقدر يعمل حاجه وداير يعمله، لازم نحن نقدر نفهم بعضنا. لما انا اشوف دومينيك ده اخوي انا المفروض اكون يعني مبسوط. نشوف استاذ تريزا because كل زول عندنا عندك والعندي نحن ناخده together it will make sense. so ده يا حاجه داير البلد بتاعنا زي انا ما قلت قبل ده مشاركه بتاعي انه انا داير نقدم حاجه لاخواني. انا ما ممكن اقدم حاجه الليله وانا ما عندي، لكن انا بقدم الحاجه اللي عندي عشان اخواني يستفيدوا منه. وانا متاكد انه في يال لسه جايين وما بعمل اكثر من حاجه انا عملت ذات. وده يا الثمره بتاع شنو؟ بتاع الحاجه ان انا قاعد نتكلم فوق الليل.
كلام جميل. يعني انا تريزا انت لو عندك حاجه داير تسال ابان برضو انت مرحبا. يلا بعد ذاك احنا بنيجي نشوف اذا في مشاهدين عندهم اسئله بجاي وجاي عشان هم يطرحوا للكاتب ابان كونجم.
Yeah. شكرا لك كثير استاذ ابان. بصراحه انا بذات نفسي ذاته كتريزا استفدت من هذا الحوار ومن هذا الكلام الجميل، وده فعلا كلام حقيقي. انا يعني انا بس السؤال بتاعي ممكن هيجي من خلال الخلفيه بتاع الصور اللي بوراك. انا طبعا قبل كده زرت نيوزيلاند، كنت في نيوزيلاند في 2005. انا جيت في اوكلاند في نورث شور او something like that. Yes. انا جيت هناك، فانا بقدر اوري انه يعني انت فعلا انت زول بتاع كوميونيتي، وفي الواقع يا هو انعكاس للصورة اللي في الخلفية بتاعك. فهل ده يا هو الواجهة بتاع الناس اللي انت بتشتغل من اجلهم، ده تنوع اللي انت قصده اللي هو indigenous، لان like you call yourself also you're indigenous. زي عندك مثلا زول في النص ده ممكن اشوفه زول من indigenous بتاع البلد هناك، ناس مورو ديل، وعندك برضو ممكن زولا من السودان او ده، وكمان من انا ما اعرف ده شكل عربي او ممكن حبشيه ولا حاجه زي كده. فهل ده هو التنوع اللي انت شغال فيه؟ ده سؤال.
الصوره دي انت بتشوف ده نهر الصوبات. ده نهر الصوبات 2013 انا مشيت في الجنوب. انا مشيت في ساوث السودان. انا مشيت في بلد، مشيت في
خلفيه بتاع الصور بوراك، في الصور بتاع ناس بوراك.
في 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 جوا الكتاب.
نو صورة بوراك.
صورة بوراك.
ما احنا دائما بننظر.
اوكي الصورة البوراك ده انا قاعد في المكتب. ده صور عملناه يعني في كتاب انا طلعته قبل كده اسمه Beyond Refuge. Beyond Refuge ده كتاب كان عملناه انه يعني الناس الموجودين behind ده كل زول عنده قصه بتاعه. طبعا المشكله بتاعي كادفوكيت يعني الكلام بتاعي ما بيكون كلام ساكت مع الحكومه without evidence. في كل زول اللي عنده صوره هنا ده يعني عنده قصه بتاعه، وصل في البلد ده كيف وحاجه جابه للبلد ده كيف، لانه في معنى نحن بنلقاه من الحكومه بتاع البلد ده not because هم بعرفوا، عشان هم ما بعرفوا. عشان نقدر نوريهم، عشان يقدروا يعملوا improve السيرفيس بتاعهم للناس بتاعنا، انه نوريهم ذاته they are قصص بتاعنا. they are the way how we introduce ourselves to our new home. ده كان ده كتاب كمان. ده لو في ناس كمان دارين عشان يعرفوا عن الكتاب ده كمان we ran out of it, but it's gonna be the second version as well of it. So there another kitab with our history with our Majirin in New Zealand. I'm know 2006.
So this is good. And عشان كده قلنا لك بننظر لكل حاجة. وكويس إنه جاء أكس إنه ده كتابك الأول برا من كتابك
Yes.
هسه الموجود.
So الناس اللي انت بتشوفوا ده كله من دول مختلفة. يعني في من السودان، من كردش، من اثيوبيا، من اريتريا، من صوماليا، من افغانستان، من باكستان، من يعني دول مختلفة. طبعا المكتب بتاعنا هنا ده small United Nation within a New Zealand context.
Okay. Yeah.
جميل جدا.
Yeah.
أنا ما أعرف في حاجة بس قال لي تسأل سؤال عن الصور في خلفية.
Yeah.
فلو أنا ما أعرف لو أخونا دومينيك، لأنه في سؤال بتاع أخونا تشولدين، هل جينا في فترة بتاع ناخذ أسئلة من
كده بس في حاجة أنا در أسأله بعدك. أنا بديك فرصة عشان بعدك تسأل. أنت you mentioned something that is very important. In Amsterdam there is about 180 nationalities.
Yes.
هم عندهم كتاب برضو خطوة كده. But I wanted to ask you one important question that keeps on bothering me. And you remember I asked you, what are you guys doing really different?
Yeah.
Because I heard an Australian guy, a white guy, who was really talking very awful about South Sudanese and Sudanese in general. Sudanese.
Yeah.
He was talking about that I see the Indians, see the other communities. They are in the business, they are in the doctors, and they are everywhere. They're doing terrific. But what you people are doing is actually crimes. Crimes, that we are seeing. And now I wonder, is this the same thing that you people have in Auckland? Because the ramification of actions have also shut off more asylum opportunities. Because I understand that the government of Australia said they are not going to allow people from South Sudan to come, or in Africa in general, because they are causing a lot of troubles. Had we done better, people would have said, they are very hardworking people, they are contributors, they are blah, 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 blah. And that has an effect, because South Sudanese is a very big refugee crisis, especially now after the 2013 war. So one thing that I wanted to give to you is also the advice, but I wanted to know what you guys are doing different in encouraging their children to go to school. Because if people are to go to education and to learn and to study, they would have changed. They would have been doctors. They would have been there contributing to this indigenous society. Then it would also act as an encouraging recipe for encouragement for other people to say, no, these are good people. We need to go and get a lot of people, because the ones that have come here have succeeded and they became, responsible people, contributive people, very important and influential people in the society. So is it the same thing that you people are doing? And what kind of advice is, because I know you might have worked in this community thing with the Australian, New Zealand government. Which end up basamat, حقيقة. And احنا كجنوبين احنا ممكن نستفيد منه بالمناسبة. And we can replicate it into other people, because we need to be where we are. خلينا نخلي قصة بتاعت انه انا جاي نشيل عجلة واحنا راجعين. لا, you will end up staying there for 40 years or 50 years. ولا كيف؟ The floor is yours, my brother.
Yeah, that's true. What we do different here, first of all, there is other book as well, research I done between Australia, comparison between Australia and New Zealand resettlement program. There is a book, benchmark between Australia and New Zealand. And also it's a resource outside there. I might be able to send it to you guys. It has been published also in German, and has been translated to 8 languages, which is very unique research as well. So what we have done differently between Australia is that within New Zealand, we interfere to other families' business in terms of law. It was very funny in New Zealand. Lo fi jana ba'amul mushkila, Uncle Abann will be called. It's not a police. Okay? Which is means the community responsibility has been taken seriously. Even though I got the whistle for government that before any social services interfere, they're going to be calling us as a community leaders. And this is one of the things we've been telling them, that in our community, because within in New Zealand, it mumkin tadrub jana kaf. A jana zar mumkin in a dilek police. Lakin within us, Luita Guta Lejana Ana Baktulagasa in police the crime. Lakin in South Sudan, the crime, the Kalam Sakit is Zalan, in Jena Bitaga, Ana Baktulaguma, it's there, my price Mukatel. Lakin police will take it seriously. So, what we have done, in the yani mutadakhala in a two-way communication. We educate the services and the services educate us. So in that way, we have better understanding and people are together. But compared to Australia, even Australian government, they never take responsibility upon what's happening for South Sudanese there. Within the South Sudanese, people are divided. Even one tribe divide to money. Okay? No one interfere to other person's business. Yani lo fi mushkila biyasal fi bed bita zola tani, ashan tamshi tahil mushkila de da another problem. And what contribute to that as well, the new system of grujda bishilu min akuma biamululo haja wasawat maarafa bitaw haja de baamulu kef. That also contribute to their bitayal bitan. Few families yal aslan umama biakulu. Okay? In way of looking after the mafi. وما زول ذاته عشان هم يمشي فوق ويتكلموا انا داير كده انا داير كده لانه كل طريق مسكر لمنو ليال ديل. So حاجه هم بيشوفوا comfort themselves is لو هم بيمشوا في بيلعبوا سوكا وهم بيمشي بيلعبوا باسكتبول وهم بيمشي ميلر وهم بيمشي بيلعبوا فوق. So within our young people, they find the comfort place is club. So هم بيمشوا هنا. So واحد هما فاين انفسهم انه ده ميلر هما بيلقوا شنو راحه بتاعهم الميلر ممكن هما بيقبلوا انفسهم لانه ما في مجتمع ثاني بيقبلهم. اوكي سو اكوما يعني عمل كونتريبيوت لحاجه لانه في ناحيه ثانيه ده بزنس كمان. اول حاجه بدي بوليس شغل، بدي سوشيال ورك شغل، سو الناس دي كرييت جوب. انت شفت؟ سو حاجه اللي فيه انه نحن لازم يعني ما نقول ان السودان السودانيين هم كعبين. لكن لو تسالت نفسك سؤال how many South Sudanese are contributing to Australian society right now, you will be amazed when you investigate it. لانه حاجه ده محارب ثاني كمان. مع البلدان اللي نحن جينا فوق دي تقال هم بيقبلونا. ما نحن جينا بطريقه ذاته لو كان يقتلنا انه ده نجي في بلد ده كان ما بنجي في بلد بتاعهم. لكن الضغوطات بتاع الحياه يو دفعنا عشان نجي في بلد بتاعهم. هسه هم كمان دايرين يفرطوا لنا كمان انه لازم يعملوا كده ويعملوا كده. ففي بعض من الناس as a South Sudanese انا قلت قبل انا فخور for any South Sudanese and women or men or child or whatever, always عندنا مخرج. always عندنا مخرج. لانه الريزيلينت ده ما بدو من زمن بتاعنا، زمن جدودنا زمن ابوهاتنا بدو from there. Yeah. But what is happening in Australia is not just labeling South Sudanese as another cabin. يعني ده حاجة هما لازم هما ينظروا في القضية ده. يعني هما حكومة مع South Sudanese community leaders, they need to come together to solve this problem. يعني ما بقولوا South Sudanese ياو كابين. لكن البيئة اللي هما موجودين فوقه ياو هي شنو هي فرصة ده إنه يصل زي ده. وحاجة تانية كمان يعني تفكك بتاع أسر كمان. يعني في أستراليا التفكك بتاع أسر ما أكتر. اوكي او حاجه جاب التفكك بتاع وصل شنو ما كلام بتاع مانجمنت بتاع كيف نحن نقدر ندير فاينانشال بتاعنا كمرأة والرجل، كيف نحن نقدر انه نكون علاقتنا انه يكون علاقه وطيده. لو في حاجه جاء لازم يكون في سولوشن. لكن القروش شالوا everything يعني علاقه بتاعنا زي القروش. كمان او حاجه زي ده انه contribution to back home يعني تو الليله لو انت راجل بترسل قروش لاسره بتاعك ومره انت ما برسل ومره برسل لاسره بتاعك، that will bring also a little bit of conflict. So thus عوائق اللي موجوده في داخل المجتمع الجنوبين في استراليا. يعني هما زي ما الناس دول بيقولوا هما ياو كابين، هما ما ياو كابين، سيستم زادوا ياو خلاهم يكونوا كابين لانه ما وروا بطريقه انه حاجات بيعملوا كيف. لكن بالنسبه لنا في نيوزيلاند نحن بسيطين. يعني عدد بتاعنا بسيط، ياو ممكن عدد البسيط ده خلانا زاد هنا نكون نهجين في ناحيه بتاع اسم شنو ده. ابن ساوث السودان الموجودين في نيوزيلاند هم فادوا استراليا، هم فادوا بالكواليفيكيشن بتاعهم، هم درسوا في البلد ده وفادوا يشتغلوا هناك. يعني هم يشتغلوا هناك وباعوا بيوت بتاعهم لانه في بلد ده ابن انت لقيت كواليفيكيشن ذاته في النهايه بيقول لك انت اوفر كواليفايد او ما في شغل بالنسبه لك. يعني الاتحاد ده لسه موجود. لكن بالمناسبه ساوث السودان موجودين في استراليا وما كلهم استراليا ساوث السودان ما هو عندهم مشكله. لكن لو انت سالت دي يد العامل الموجود في استراليا اللي بيشتغل في المحل بتاع اللحم، اللي بيشتغل بتاع السوشيال سيرفيسز، المحل بتاع الجاهزين، اللي بيشتغل في المحل بتاع الديسابيلتي، اللي بيشتغل في اذى دواوين الحكومه في خدمات المدنيه، كل ساوث سودانيز. الزول اللي واحد عنده مشكله في شارع ده ياو خلاص وسخ ساوث سودانيز كله. So Nazir, they need real to be accountable. I don't got to call them folk.
Thank you.
So those are kind of the stuff.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Teresa, your floor is yours.
Yeah. انت جاوبت السؤال بتاع دومينيك ده في جزء بسيط. انت بكون انت بكون ما لاحظت كنت نسيته. هو بيقول حل طبعا في يعني مشاكل اللي حصل للناس جنوبيين كتير في بالذات من 2013 ده، لكن هو كان بيركز في جانب بتاع انه البيزنس هل في جنوبيين اللي هناك في نيوزيلاند مثلا عنده بيزنس بتاعه، وهل في تعاون كويس من المواطنين ذاته من جنوب السودان او حتى من السودان من السودان بيحاول انه to support this kind out to empower this business to go ahead.
Business to go ahead back home or was it in New Zealand?
Within New Zealand. ما فيش مثلا في صوماليين بيكون عندهم بيزنس، في لبنانيز بيكون عندهم بيزنس. بالنسبه للساوث سودانيز ناس بتاعنا
بالنسبه للناس بتاعنا ما عندنا ناس عندهم بيزنس في البلد ده compared to Australia في مطاعم، استراليا في other different business. نسوان كمان عندهم مير بتاع اسمه شنو بتاع سالون، هم بيدو business سالون there. but within نيوزيلاند يعني عدد بتاعنا بسيط، لكن الناس الموجودين كله شغالين في مجالات السوشيال سيرفيسز، يعني كلهم شغالين. ده حاجه only الموجود في بالنسبه للساوث السودان زي المنظمه انا بديره ده. يعني عندنا 24 منظمه تحت المنظمه انا قاعد اديره، ومن 18 دول. So if you can consider as a business, this is one of the things that I can say. And the model, how we do it as well, is just we are looking in the human values rather than anything else. لأنه منظمتنا منظمة إنساني، and نحن بنشوف أي زول وجاي كأجر لبلد ده كإنسان regardless of دين بتاعه or لون بتاعه or whatever. So that is the practice we have here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ustaz Abann. I think we have talked on this book, on this research topic of yours for almost like 2 hours, and I think time has come that we need to engage you with the viewers of the Voice of People forum. They have a lot of questions that they've been asking. Some of them are asking the experiences, of the South Sudanese, whether this is in Syria, whether this is in Egypt, and then how this unity can also, and now you people in Auckland, how this unity can create a rainbow kind of a society in South Sudan that will eventually help people back home. They will want it also to know your thought in it. But I will wanted to tell my brother Edward, who is actually in the control, that if there are other questions that you wanted to, you think that you wanted are very important also to you that need to be answered by Ustaz Abann, you can also pin it up in the screen, and then we will read it. But otherwise, we will engage, try to collect the questions here and there from the floor. Me and my co-host, Sister Teresa. But yeah, people will want to know the unity. That people. I know you have talked about it, but now the ramifications of that unity to the people back home. Because the Metabuta Junubin are really united. Sudanese, Ganbarra Hina, they are very united. أنا جيت استبانغا في النرويج يا أنا كنا بنتكلم عربي فلقانا واحد لقانا واحد سوري انتوا سودانيين قلنا لا احنا سودانيين ده قبال بلد ده ما يقسم قلت له احنا سودانيين قال ايوه في سوداني هنا قال له كويس قام ضرب للزول ده قال يا اخي والله في سودانيين هناك الراجل قام يتكلم معانا قال انتوا سودانيين قلت له احنا سودانيين قال لي يا اخي انا هسه في مدري لكن انتظروني ما تمشوا قلت له يا اخي ما بنمشي كيف زماننا لو جاء ما بنمشي لكن احنا قاعدين يعني قال لا انا جاي الاسبوع الجاي وفعلا جاء استفانغا جانا هوتيل طبعا ودى البلد وبيعرف المحل شالنا مشى طبق لنا باميه ويكا وكسرى وبتاع واكلناه that is the love of the Sudanese people. ده الطيبه بتاع السودانيز اللي انت قبل ذكرته في مدخل بتاع كلام بتاعك انه احنا جينا من خرطوم اننا نوع معين بتاع حياه الناس اللي جو من ايست افريقيا عندهم طبيعه بتاعت حياه لكن في النهايه بتاع المطاف احنا جنوبيين الكور فاليوز بتاعنا as indigenous South Sudanese that does not really change so advices بتاعك into that matter and the ramifications of that unity back home is very important. So please, your thoughts. You are muted. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
And because the book have 6 chapters, the last chapter is recommendation and conclusion and recommendations. So there is a way how people will be able to practice the way how we be in unity. So within that model is, I call it a Sikha leadership model of practice. It's a content 3 elements within the study. One is a theory where you will be able to search for the thing that you want to get. And the second is understandings. And the third is how you can be able to apply that. So within a unity is about allowing yourself as a person, because it's a start from self, which is I mentioned before. In the nature of Sudanese as such is a part of our culture. And what have affected that, I think the impact of immigration, where we come and learn from other countries, which is have impact of our culture as well, and where we staying at the moment. So the unity of the Sudanese, the spirit is still there. The spirit is still there and need to be activated. So to be activated, I think it needs cultural contact as well to bring that back again. And we need people who have really values that kind of Sudanese identity or Sudanese culture to be able in the front to lead, to make sure that that kind of the unity will come back. And one of the things that is affecting that, they are calamity siyasa la internet, because we not been in love with simple things, but if we Sudanese, we leave something called siyasa behind and just be a normal people, I think we will live in a peace ever you never imagined. That is one of the things I realized. That's why I'm saying within the country, and I got for politics, there's some things, but compared to other countries, like our country, that's another thing. So just being out of that is also advance some of the unity, and that is one of the things I can advise. So within those who will be able to get the book, because this research is about relationship and unity. How the South Sudanese will realize the difference we have or the diversity we have, to make sure how we use that as a strength rather than dividing ourselves. You know, so that is one of the things, and I hope the link was Edward. He will be able to send you where you can find the book. He will be able to give you the link where you can find the book, and I will be able also in a detail in days to come, if I got opportunity to go chapter to chapter, where I will be able to articulate exactly what I mean within that chapter, because the research is a part of it, but there is a project there which is I've been articulated myself, my history, the history of the tribe I come from, the history of Sudan itself, how we've been affected, and then it's coming to the research himself. So I hope I will have opportunity in other shows, even as a Treasure or Brother Mukashif as well. I will be able to try to do my best just to be open to you guys, because some people might ask the question, why did Abann come up in this time? And what is important is that this time I have something to give, you know, and that's what is important. And this is a platform of me to start engaging with the people who might be able to benefit from the book, who also will be benefit from the life we live in New Zealand, in terms of the community or in terms of other contact as well.
Very great, very great.
Yeah,
Teresa, you have something to say?
not really. It's just if, as you mentioned to Brother Edward, that if you can paint some of the question. Otherwise, we just start from ahead and then we read it to our brother Abann.
Yeah, thank you. The viewers of Voice of the People's Forum, I think we have benefited a lot, and I know you people were asking a lot of questions. We wanted to make this show interactive. Therefore, I would like to tell you that if there are other questions that we really wanted to ask Abann with regards to his book, you have heard him for almost 2 hours. He's been articulative on the subject of the community work, you know, the history of What is the title of your book? It's
Native Displacement in 21st Century.
Yeah, Native Displacement in the 21st century. The leadership knowledge.
Yeah, applying leadership knowledge. Yeah.
Applying leadership knowledge to native displacement. I think all of us as South Sudanese, we are natives. We have been displaced. There's a lot of things that we will learn from the work of Abann as South Sudanese. I know he has done his things in the context of the New Zealand or Auckland, where he has been actively engaged in the community. But I believe South Sudanese problems, and indeed the African problems, are all cross-cutting problems that other communities may always benefit from it. And I think this is an opportunity that is still here with us. We can be able to learn from him. And I would like to assure you, my brother, that this kind of forums is created for such endeavors. It is not only politics alone, like we have said earlier in our introductory remark, but we will also to unleash the potentials of our authors. And we are encouraging also authors from South Sudan that they are there. I know my cousin, what we call Dr. Edward Eramogoluka. Yes, come to a book. Is a very good writer. We will also wanted to one time host him, but you're also welcome And people are asking, is the book available in Amazon?
Yes.
Yeah, the book is.
But Amazon is very expensive. If you go to the link, which is I give it to Edward, I can send it to you. It's a New Zealand website. It's the cheaper one, so you will be able to get it cheaper than the Amazon and other stores. Because I was searching, but I find out is real the price is very high. But within the New Zealand website or the publisher website is really very cheap. The soft cover is $16.99 New Zealand. وقروش بتاع نيوزيلاند ده قروش يعني بسيط في كل العالم. لو انت مشيت في the hard cover is 35 and 99, and ebook I think is $4. So just try and make sure you're not going to get it very expensive.
Okay, from the link في صورة لكن في سؤال
Yes, sure, yes. If you click to the link, it will take you where the book is.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. That's good idea.
سألوك سؤال مباشر كده قال لك من الآخر كده.
أيوة.
قال لك احنا هنستفيد شنو يعني من الكتاب في حل مشكلاتنا في دولة جنوب السودان.
Okay, استفادتك الزول سأل سؤال أنت ده تبدأ بنفسك. مشكلة جنوب السودان ده حاجة تانية. أبدأ من نفسك مشكلتك شنو؟ لأن لو أنت عرفت مشكلتك كperson you will be able to contribute to المشكلة الموجود في السودان. So المشكلة الموجود في السودان داير كلنا إنه نتكاتف ونcome together ونحن ما داير نشوف أنفسنا إنه we are enemies. Either can be government or the opposition. We need to see ourselves as a South Sudanese who want to save South Sudan people, not who want to save one people. You know? So kitab de boriga toriga inu ite kif taqdar tit'amal كشخص وكيف تقدر توصل انه تندمج مع اخوانك الاخرين.
ايه جميل جدا. في سؤال برضو قبل سأله أخونا شولدينج هو كان بيقول Teresa, can you ask him قال what sort of audience this book aim to address? I come across different cohort group. I come from a different cohort group. I know we all sort of trauma and experience. So السؤال بتاعي هنا يعني ياتوا مجموعة من الناس كتاب بتاعك ده يعني is targeting.
Okay, there is a two target group. One, people who experience the displacement, either South Sudanese or other immigrant to host countries. Another target audience is the host country itself, to understand the background or the people who come and live in their countries. Because there is a negative quotation that those people, they come to our country to take our job. Those people come to our country to take the housing. Those people come to our country to do something as what Dominic was asking before about what's happening in Australia. But actually, the book will relate to them is we are here culturally, economically, we are contributing to your countries.
Okay. I don't know if there is another question. I'm just going through the link here. Someone was asking, I don't know, he's asking a question. I think this was Brother Gabriel or Jibril. He said, "Is this book it a fictional book or non-fictional book?"
Can you ask him what it mean about it in bigger context?
يعني هو قاصد حل الكتاب ده يعني ده كلام واقع، ما انه ده كلام واقع انت قاعد تتكلم يعني في نوع من واقعيه ولا ده، لكن هو واضح انه انت بتتكلم عن حاجه حاصل فيك انت وريفلكشن ليك انت والكوميونتي والمحل اللي انت عملت سيتلمنت فيه.
اوكي اجابه بتاعي انه زي انا ما قلت قبل لو ما عندك حاجه ما تقدر تقدم للناس. لو ما واقع بتاعي انا ما ممكن نقدمه للناس، لانه الميل انا قاعد فوق ده ذاته لو انت ما بتعرف على حاجه اللي انت قاعد تتكلم فوقه ما ممكن انت تجيبه للاخرين عشان هم يقدر يعرفوا. So ده حاجه واقع بتاعي وانا داير نعملوا شيء مع الاخرين اللي عندهم واقع زي واقع بتاعين وهم يقدر يعني يعرفوا حقيقة بتاعهم لانه عرب بيقولوا ما عنده ماضي ما عنده حاضر. Okay, so ده الواقع ده انا داير نجيبه في contact, and the most important is that انه حاجات الاصل في الماضي ده حاجات ثانيه الوقت اللي احنا قاعدين فوق ده حاجه ثانيه.
Okay. Yeah, I think ما في سؤال تاني هنا. Yeah. طبعا بس ده كان اخونا جوزيف براش بيقول native displacement in 21st century. I hope the author will elaborate more on the title. هو بيكون جاء متاخر اخونا. هو جاء متاخر وجا لقى انك انت ما انت اتكلمت already في الكلام الاول، جاء الجزء الاول. Brother Joseph, maybe you can watch a video later. He already articulated. ما في سؤال تاني، انا ما اعرف كان في زول تاني عنده سؤال. Yeah, you're welcome brother Chol. ما اظن في سؤال تاني لان انت اتكلمت في جوانب كتير، وبكون افضل ذاته بعد ده الزول يكتشف عن الكلام ده من خلال القرايه. انت لما تشيل الكتاب انت you will be able. وكمان let me announce it again. انت قلت بانه الكتاب ده لو انت اشتريته من امازون كان زول ما يقدر يشتريه من امازون عادي بيكون غالي شويه، لكن من خلال اللينك ده بوديك انه في الببلشر ذاته بتاع من نيوزيلاند هناك ارخص وب $16 نيوزيلندي. يعني لو حولناه لقروش بتاعنا هنا ده ممكن يكون اقل من كده، ممكن يصل حاجه
يعني بكون اقل. يس
$8 او حاجه زي $9 كده يعني. So بس نقطه بسيط
because there's no any other questions coming to you Mubashir, I'm very happy and honored to take this discussion with you, including but not limited with my colleague Teresa. It was a very fruitful discussion. We've benefited from it, from experience as an indigenous South Sudanese who went and met other indigenous and was able to make a way of life and become so relevant into the newfound society that he has lived. I think what you have done will really serve as a lessons to newbies, people who have come to a country and they will wanted to make a way out of their new presences in that. And I encourage the people of South Sudan that you must also support your own by buying this book, because that is the only way we can be able to encourage our own. Let us not look it from Al-Gelba Al-Batala, but let us look to it that we are promoting South Sudan. If I promote Abann today, I'm promoting an indigenous South Sudanese a person which will become a source of our pride for the great work that you are doing. I wanted to leave you with a final word to the people of South Sudan before we can, pack our discussions, so that at least at the end of the day, we can also leave you to go and do your business. I know you are a busy person and you have others to do. So your final thought and your final last word.
Okay, first of all, I would like to acknowledge Brother Edward for the host, and also Ustaz Teresa and Dominic for the hosting me. My final remark is that it's the first time today to appear in your show. For your viewers and audience, I would like to get to say we have a purpose for being a displaced in our countries, but also it's important we don't forget. I am a privileged person to be in New Zealand, and New Zealand is my home, and what New Zealand has given me, I need to share it with the South Sudanese as well, because I know I might be born in South Sudan, and become a product of New Zealand. But my position might be a link between New Zealand and South Sudan. And I am sure what I do in New Zealand here is directly and indirectly is applying to all South Sudanese, whatever they are in the world. And I hope, and I keep my promise based on my late father's advice. If you want to do something for South Sudan, you must know it first and be able to be a contributor, not a consumer. So for me, I would like to say thank you so much for this opportunity. And I hope for us to have a time for you to come to share the inside knowledge that will contribute to our people in South Sudan. Politics is not the only avenue of solving our problems. There's other avenues where we will be able to have a peaceful discussion and critical discussion where we will value ourselves and one another input. So my God bless you all, those viewers and the host. And again, I'm proud to be in your show and be South Sudanese who really try to give a hand or whatever I can do to make sure as well I have a balance within a life. So thank you for having me, and I hope other shows as well. As I said before, the book have 6 chapters, and each chapter have something unique from one another. Yet the only 3 chapters, which is the research project and the finding and conclusion and recommendation. But there are other part of it, my experience wasn't in New Zealand and working in a community volunteer and also reaching to a position where I established a successful organization that contribute to New Zealand society. So from here, I would say thank you for all of you. And I hear that Dominic, you wake up from Nome, and Teresa as well is a morning there. And do apologize to that. And please feed me to your scheduled time next time, and I will be able to see you. And thank you.
Well, don't worry about that. Some of us have become so nocturnal. But Teresa, you might wanted to thank Abann and congratulate him for his marvelous work. Yeah, you can as well do that.
Yeah. أولا أنا نقدر نشكرك كثير أستاذ أبان. ده طبعا بيدينا نهكة مختلف في برامج اللي احنا دائما بنقدمه. في كثير من الأحيان ممكن احنا قاعدين نركز في قضايا سياسية وبنجاهل الجانب الثقافي أو المعرفي الهسي زي ما أنت جيت فيه. فحقيقة أنا بشكرك، وبرضه بشكر الناس اللي قبل كده يتكلموا في قضايا بنفس يعني منطلق بتاعك اللي هو إصدار كتاب. برضه عندك أو زي ما قبل ذكرنا إنه دكتور جابريل أثر جابريل كان هنا برضه. فإحنا بنرحب بك في أي في المنابر ده كله، أخونا مجازف ولا برضه هنا في Voice of People أو Diversity، كله بيكون مفتوح لك إنك ممكن تيجي تشرح أكتر. فأنا أقدر نشكرك كتير لأنه أنت يعني اديت وقت بتاعك يعني أنت شايف من خلال المنظور بتاعك إنك كيف أنت تقدم حاجة للمجتمع بتاعنا في جنوب السودان. ففي ناس ممكن قد ما يفهموا الكلام ده، لكن أنت قاعد تركز في الكوميونتي، لأنه الكوميونتي ذاته هو يا سنتر بتاع شنو؟ بتاع أي دولة اللي هو ذاته الشعب، لأنه ده واحد من أركان بتاع الدولة. عشان أنت قدرت تنميه، قدرت تنمي الدولة دائما بتعمل لهم empowerment، بتعمل للكوميونتي حاجة اسمه empowerment، وده حاجة مهم جدا اللي أنت شغال فيه. أنا أقدر نشكرك كتير، وده حاجة فكرة كويسة إنك قدرت تصدر نفس الأيديا عشان تساعد به البلد بتاعك الأم اللي أنت جاي منه. فأنا أقدر نقول إنه الدنيا لين هنا بالليل، ما لسه ما صباح، لكن أخونا دومينيك طبعا ياهو هو قام تقريبا كان قام من الساعة 2 عنده في هولندا. لكن احنا بنشكر، احنا بنضحي ده ما من أجلك بس، لكن عشان الخبر ذاته يصل للجنوبيين ولأهل بتاعنا هم يستفيدوا من الكتاب ده، الرسالة اللي قدمته. بشكرك كثير لوجودك معنا، وإن شاء الله في أيام أخرى.
Thank you, my brother. To the Voice of People's Forum, we wanted to thank you all, wherever you are, morning, evening, night. It has been a privilege for us meeting Abann, talking about his book. And I came to also know that he has written other books before. So keep up, my brother. Keep up this good job. It is through such kind of things. And this is a legacy you are leaving to your children also. Today's will come when you will not be there. They will come and say, you know, our grandfather, our father, our grandfather, our great-great-father has this to offer to the communities and the people of South Sudan at large. Like you say, we all love this country. So to others, click the link. You will go there. You will get the book. You will know how much it costs, and the mode of delivery will be told to you. These are practical things. It can't be said all here. But otherwise, wanted to thank you so much for being a guest. Like Teresa have said, you're always welcome. You can come here any rate of a time for the 6 chapters. You know, for those of us, we're also in the research, and we love to go into the research. We can talk chapter by chapter, so long we have this opportunity. That one we will never hesitate to do. But keep the good job that you are doing. You are a light in the darkness. Encourage the communities there, and may the God that we worship in heaven continue to keep you safe and your family. And just as you are saying, you know, the advice that you got from your father, I'm so aware that your children will also come and say, you know, these were the advices that we got from our father also. So good job. Let me leave it at here. Abann Kamyay Ajak, I thank you so much for coming today to the Voice of People Forum. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So the control, you take over, my brother Edward. Teresa, good night. As you are going to start your sleep.
Yeah. Good morning.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye.
منبر صوت الشعب، الرأي والرأي الآخر، شعب واحد ووطن واحد.